Everybody ready?
Yes!
I can't hear you. Is everybody ready?
Yes!
Listen here, they've got a football game going on across the street, and I'm sure it's plenty of noise going on in the football game. Keyword noise. Keyword noise. But if you agree that what we're doing across the street from the football game is more important than what's going on in the football game, let me hear your voices right about now.
Yes!
We're over here making history.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
The right side of it.
All right. So let me first give honor to God and say that I bear witness that regardless of language, landmass, or label, that there is but one God.
Amen.
We're grateful to be here today. We're honored. And we definitely don't want to forget that we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors who suffered.
Yes.
That we might have a voice to lift
Yes.
in a time such as this one.
Yes.
So we want to ask, we don't know who the eldest brother or sister is here today, but we ask Brother Deric Parker, do we have permission to speak, sir?
On behalf of the elders, speak on. Big brother.
Now I know some of you wonder why it is this group is so fired up. You wonder why it is this group is so filled with enthusiasm. Why is it that the spirit is so high when we live in a time when brothers like Colin Kaepernick and NFL players are being persecuted?
Yes.
We're excited because we hope, not only do we hope, but we know
Amen.
that as long as God gives us the breath to breathe, we got warm blood running through our veins. As long as we have a pulse, as long as we wake up in the morning looking down at the dirt and not up at it, we have a chance to make that which is wrong into that which is right. Is that right? So we don't come before you today as people who feel as if though we are defeated. We come here today as a people who feel like we just got to take care of business. First and foremost, we want to make very, very clear that we stand with Colin Kaepernick. When I say we, I want you to say stand. When I say Colin, I want you to say Kaepernick. We stand with Kaepernick. Yeah. Let's do it one more time. We stand with Kaepernick. We stand with Kaepernick. We stand with Kaepernick. We stand with Kaepernick. It's very important that we start our press conference off with "We stand with Kaepernick." After Hurricane Harvey came through, the hashtag that went throughout the city was Houston Strong. But today, we want to use the hashtag of Houston Stands, because Houston can never be strong if Houston does not stand.
That's right.
We stand with Colin Kaepernick because Colin Kaepernick stood for us. We stand with Colin Kaepernick because Colin Kaepernick was punished. He was punished. He was ostracized. He was banned from the National Football League, not for what he did, but he was banned because of who he did it for. He did it for Mike Brown. He did it for Sandra Bland. He did it for Walter Scott. He did it for Eric Garner. He did it for Trayvon Martin. He did it for all of the victims of police brutality who were shot down unjustly in this country by the police, and those police went free. That's why Colin Kaepernick took a stand. It had nothing to do with him being unpatriotic. I stand here today as a U.S. veteran in support of Colin Kaepernick. I stand here today as a former United States Marine, one who put my body on the line to fight for this country in the Gulf War. I stand in support of Colin Kaepernick. The United States Congress has already given us guidelines that determine disrespect for the flag.
Yeah, that's right.
And in those guidelines it says that you shall not display the flag horizontally. The flag should never touch the ground. It says that the flag should never be used as a decal on a uniform.
All right, speak.
Who's really disrespecting the flag?
You own it, man. You own it. Yes, you are.
At the beginning of every football game, you see the United States flag laid across the field like an old dirty dog's blanket. Colin Kaepernick did not do that. The NFL is doing that. When you look at the uniforms, you see the flag as a decal. Well, according to Congress, this is constituted as disrespect to the flag. So who's disrespecting the flag? And what's worse about it is that they didn't even used to play the national anthem before football games, before they got a contract with the Department of Defense and the U.S. military. The worst part of disrespecting the flag is pimping out the flag for money. Using the flag to make a profit. So don't talk about Colin Kaepernick disrespecting the flag when you yourself disrespect the flag every chance you get. You don't care anything about patriotism. You care everything about profit. The flag code also says that no individual should be punished if they choose not to stand for the flag.
That's right.
The NFL disrespects the flag every game.
All right.
But there is no punishment.
That's right.
Colin Kaepernick decides to take a knee and said that I won't stand for the flag until I see what the flag represented in the American justice system. And he's blackballed. What message are you sending to our youth when you blackball one of ours? What message are you sending to our youth when owners like Bob McNair come out and they call the players on his own team inmates? Listen, let me tell you something. If Bob McNair sees the black men who make millions of dollars for him every week as inmates, how in the hell do you think he sees us? So, the theme for today's press conference is enough. Enough. When it comes to the hypocrisy that we're looking at, we say, enough. I can't hear you.
Enough. It's enough.
When it comes to Bob McNair's divisive, inexcusable words that divided this so-called city of diversity, we say what? Enough! When it comes to them blackballing Colin Kaepernick for standing for black life, we say enough! When it comes for them doing a retaliatory trade of Dwayne Brown to the Seattle Seahawks because he stood up and he spoke out against Bob McNair, we say enough! When it comes to you threatening NFL players and saying that you will not allow them to play if they don't stand for the flag, we say enough! And last but not least, when it comes to you targeting our children in this wicked criminal justice system in Harris County and the state of Texas, today we come to say enough! McNair don't care. 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 McNair don't care.
McNair don't care. Don't care.
We say that McNair does not care. Not out of a vacuum. We say that McNair does not care because McNair has proven to us through his actions that he does not care. And for that reason and other reasons, we are calling for Mr. Bob McNair to do the right thing. Let's be honest. The Houston Texans organization is falling apart right before our faces. And it's falling apart because You have somebody at the helm of an organization who wants to execute old ideas. Racism is an old idea. Bigotry is an old idea. Tyranny is an old idea. And thinking that every black person you see is for sale and that you can buy all of us off, that is an old idea. And it will not be tolerated. So that being said, Bob McNair has embarrassed himself. Bob McNair has embarrassed this organization. Yes. Bob McNair has embarrassed this city. Yes. And Bob McNair, most importantly, has embarrassed the people in this city. Yes. What good is it to be the most diverse city in the United States of America when you have the owner of your football team that conducts himself as a South Carolina redneck? Yeah. What good is it? So that being said, we want to encourage Mr. McNair to do the right thing. Step down as the head of this organization, and maybe the organization can start anew.
And win a game.
I think I've said enough. I think I've said enough. Don't care. I can't hear you. Don't care. McNair most definitely does not care. Now, we have out here, we have civic leaders, we have elected officials, we have activists, we have, most importantly, our babies. We have Little League football teams who have hopes and dreams of one day becoming professional athletes. So we have a wide array of brothers and sisters from across this city. And speaking for the church community, we want to bring forth Brother Pastor E.A. Deckard, who loaded up a bus at his church, Greenhouse International Church, and came all the way from the deep north side. Let's give him a round of applause. After preaching the whole sermon, he loaded up the bus and brought a group of young people out here to speak their voices and make their voices known. Let's give Pastor E.A. Deckard a well-deserved round of applause.
My brothers and sisters, first I greet you. Our elder statesmen, we greet you. My brother Deric Muhammad, we greet you.
Yes.
All of those that are here, Ron Reynolds, Jeff Boney, Sonia Parker, Top, we greet you. All of my brothers and sisters, we greet you. Why are we here? Why am I here? We're here, let me make it make sense to you and share with you a real quick Bible story, because that's what I do. There was a statue being built in the Bible, and the people were told to bow down to the statue. Daniel said, I'm not going to bow down to the statue. So Daniel stood in the window and kneeled down in protest. Daniel knew that when I kneeled down in protest, there was a lion's den waiting for me. But Daniel said, I'm going to kneel down anyhow. Because I'm going to kneel down because what I believe in is worth going to the lion's den. So why are we here? Because Colin Kaepernick had enough sense to not bow down to the statue of the NFL. There were other players who wanted to kneel down to. But the shadow of Jerry Jones, the shadow of Donald Trump, the shadow of Bob McNair paralyzed their knees, and they could not bow down because of the fear of the lion's den. But because number 7 bowed down, we are here today to let you know we support you. And not only do we support you, but look around you. These little children, these little children are not future inmates. They're future doctors and lawyers, engineers, school teachers, mayors and governors. They're future decision makers. They're future NFL owners, not inmates. That's why we're here. We're here because Daniel kneeled. We're here because Colin Kaepernick kneeled. So we're
Kneel, y'all. Kneel. Kneel.
Why did he kneel?
Kneel.
Not because of disrespect. Watch this, y'all.
We kneel.
They said Daniel was disrespecting the king.
Kneel.
Daniel said, no, I'm kneeling because of mass incarceration.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm kneeling because of jail population. I'm kneeling because the bail system is not based on interest but income. I'm kneeling because schools are being closed in my community. I'm kneeling. So we're kneeling with Colin Kaepernick today to say, as the brother said, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
You have black, you have white, you have brown, you have rich, you have poor, you have Baptist, you have Catholic, you have Muslim. All of us are saying we kneel together because our voice will make a way for the next generation. That's why we support and that's why we kneel. We will not bow down no matter how many lines dens you build. We will stand because God, like he protect Daniel,
That's right.
will protect us.
That's right.
That's why we kneel.
That's right.
Oh, I think we can do better than that for Pastor. Now again, Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Colin Kaepernick took a knee against systemic injustice. And another thing that we want to do here is we want to make certain that we take the narrative back from Donald Trump and put it where it belongs back. The focus has to be on the criminal justice system. Am I correct? But before I bring up my next speaker, I want to say a little something to the sponsors of the Houston Texans. You know, Cam Newton, who is a star quarterback in the NFL, made a comment to a female reporter that offended her. Cam Newton was forced to apologize, and immediately those sponsors took away their sponsorship from Cam Newton.
That's right.
But when we take a look at what Bob McNair has said,
All right.
Yeah.
Don't care.
what Bob McNair has said is 1,000 times worse than what they accuse Cam Newton of saying.
All right.
And we have heard nothing from the sponsors.
Nothing.
Sponsors,
We need to boycott them.
you need to weigh in on this. We need to know where you stand. And if we don't hear from the sponsors, then the sponsors can expect to hear from us. To bring the narrative back to its center, we want to bring up my dear sister who worked so hard to help us to accomplish this today. I'm talking about the county state director for the Texas Organizing Project, Tasha Jackson.
Good afternoon. My name is Tasha Jackson. I'm the Criminal Justice Director with Texas Organizing Project. We are a membership organization, and we're based in Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. And we fight to, help the communities fight for policy change that's going to impact their lives. So today, organizations, community members, elected officials, entertainment artists in Houston and in Dallas. This is happening in Houston and in Dallas right now. Are standing in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick and the NFL players who, across the country, have taken a knee during the national anthem in protest of racial profiling, police brutality, criminalization of bail systems, unfair drug laws, the criminalization of poverty, and the disproportionate mass incarceration of African Americans and Latinos in America. We're here today to say thank you, Colin, and every player that has taken a knee for their bravery, for making white Americans confront an uncomfortable truth that justice in America is not equal. Justice is unfortunately predicted by the color of your skin. Being black in America means being under scrutiny from day one of your life. If black boys act out like my son did when he was 10 years old and was arrested at school for a classroom disruption, the school to prison pipeline is real. Kids are getting locked up every day because they're childish behavior in school, and this is what we're standing here for, fighting a system that every day criminalizes people of color. Right now, Harris County criminal justice system, on any given day, you have 6,800 people going through our system. 77% of those are in there because they cannot afford bail.
That's right.
And today, our county is under a bail lawsuit, have been filed for unconstitutional bail practices, and our county is fighting this lawsuit, even though a federal judge in the Supreme Court has deemed our criminal justice system unconstitutional. So we're here today to stand, not just stand with Kaepernick, but to demand our elected officials, everyone, dismantle this criminal justice system that destroys our black community.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
My son lost his whole life.
Shut it down.
Justice system. 10 years old. He missed birthdays. He missed Christmas. 5 as a kid. 10 years old, stayed for 5 years in juvenile detention on the Class C misdemeanor. That is unjust. If that was a white kid, that white kid would have went home. That white kid would not been handcuffed, taken out of school to a jail. Our kids are 18 years, our kids shouldn't be treated like that. So I demand that everybody here, I appreciate everybody for being here. Let's continue to fight, stand in solidarity, not just with Houston, but in Dallas and across the country, and demand a criminal justice system that's just for all. Thank you.
No justice, no peace. 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 No justice.
Let's give Sister Tasha Jackson another round of applause. What we just heard was the deep pain of a mother.
That's right.
And we cannot rest until we do something about that pain. Amen. When I say Houston, you say stands. Houston, stand. Houston, stand. Houston, stand. Houston, stand. And I told you all that we had some elected officials out here. Let's get right to it. I want to bring before you Missouri City State Representative, my brother, Ron Reynolds. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm proud to serve as state representative for House District 27. And I'm here to stand united with my brothers and sisters out here in solidarity with our brother Colin Kaepernick. You know, I remember when Dr. Martin Luther King stated that the greatness of America is the right to protest against right. I want to make it very clear, and you've already said it, Brother Deric, being a veteran yourself, the narrative they tried to change. Colin Kaepernick was not protesting against the military. He was not protesting against the flag. He was not protesting against our veterans, the men and women that fought for this country. Let's be clear. He was protesting against the unequal treatment of African American men, primarily at the hands of police. Police brutality. He was protesting against racial injustice. He was protesting. He was exercising his right to do that.
Yes, he was.
You know, my father and my grandfather, they too served this country in the United States Navy to fight for the American values that we hold near and dear today. And part of that values that they fought for is the freedom of speech. It's the right to protest. And when he took a knee, he had the courage, the bold, courageous courage to do the right thing. And here we are today to stand in solidarity with him. And I'm reminded what our dear late brother Frederick Douglass said. He said that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. And today we demand that the Houston Texans owner Bob McNair, that he respect those NFL players. We don't want him to be like the President of the United States, who doesn't know about the Constitution, because he called those men over there in the Houston Texans and all over the NFL sons of bees. Who should be fired? I believe that President Trump should be fired, not Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was doing the right thing for these people here, these young men and women. He was taking a bold stand for them. Now, I don't know about you, but I wasn't around when Rosa Parks went to the back of the bus.
That's right.
I wasn't around when Dr. Martin Luther King marched on Washington.
Right.
I wasn't there when John Lewis, our congressman now, marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, knowing that he will be beaten, knowing that they could be lynched. Fannie Lou Hamer, Ida B. Wells, those civil rights giants, we stand on their shoulders. But I tell you, everyone here is standing on the right side of history, because this is our modern day civil rights movement. This is our call for justice. And we're going to speak truth to power. And I want to close with this. Pastor, there's a scripture that really epitomizes what we're doing today. And it's found in Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 8 and 9. And it says, speak out for the one who cannot speak, for the rights of those who are doomed. Speak out, judge fairly, and defend the rights of oppressed and needy people. We can't be silent. We've had enough. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're going to take this message to the polls and make sure that we elect people that care about the least, the last, and the last. And make sure that they care about all people. Criminal justice reforms now. We want racial equality for all. And that's all that we're asking for. Let's continue to fight. Let's continue to stand. And if we have to, we will continue to take a knee. Not against the flag, not against this country that we love, this flag that I wear. I took an oath when I became a state representative to uphold the Constitution of this state of Texas and the United States of America. And Brother Kaepernick, he has that right. And we're exercising our right. Let's continue to do it. God bless you and thank you all.
Now we'll hear from City Councilman-elect Jeffrey L. Boney, who's also the associate editor of the Forward Times.
I'll be brief, but I think that it's important to recognize, as a journalist, I make it a point to focus on facts and information. And I believe there's some information and some facts that we need to highlight and address that Mr. McNair may have forgotten. I don't believe he has forgotten it, but it's good to be reminded from time to time. First of all, we all remember and we all know factually that Warden Bob McNair, who happens to own the Texans, gave $1 million to a man who's sitting and occupying the seat in the White House, and he called your players SOBs.
That's right.
You gave that man $1 million and did not demand it back. We also want to point out, Mr. McNair, when you put out your second apology statement, because you had to have a second one, because the first one, I guess, wasn't sufficient enough. You attempted to explain your words that you uttered, calling our brothers in the NFL inmates. Your statement in that second statement said the following, and I want everybody to hear this. These are the words of Texas owner Bob McNair in his second statement. His last sentence in that statement said, quote, "Our focus going forward, personally and as an organization, will be towards making meaningful progress regarding the social issues that mean so much to our players and our community," unquote. Well, Mr. McNair, what exactly does that mean? When you put out your first statement, you said, quote, "I was not referring to our players. I used a figure of speech that was never intended to be taken literally," unquote. Well, Mr. McNair, when you said what you said in your second statement, apology statement, excuse me, should we now take your words literally? Or should we believe that you were just using a figure of speech? Or worse, were you just saying something to quiet things down with the hopes that it would just go away? Mr. McNair, why haven't we personally heard from you? Why haven't we heard a word from you since your apology statements?
That's right.
Where have you been? Why have you been so quiet? Why do we have to hear from your Texas PR department and not directly from you? You had no problem in the course of your meeting with NFL players and the other NFL owners opening your mouth and saying, quote, "We can't allow the inmates to run the prison," unquote. You said those words boldly, and you didn't say them haphazardly.
That's right.
You said them in the midst of a conversation as it was related to anthem protests. You said in your statement that you were saying it because you were talking about the NFL league and how they were handling the owners. That was a lie.
Right.
Because you were responding to your colleague, Jerry Jones, when he was talking about the anthem protests, and you said exactly.
Right.
You can't let the inmates run the prison. Listen.
Who's he talking about?
That's right.
We may not have heard from you directly, Mr. McNair, with your words, but we have heard from you with your actions since your apology statements. Number one, the day after one of your star players, who has been protesting since last year, Dwayne Brown, all-pro left tackle, called you out about his personal experiences dealing with what he considered questionable word choices on matters of significantly sensitive and potential controversial matters. He didn't even allow that brother, Dwayne Brown, to get on the team plane. He traded him to another prison.
That's right.
The Seattle Seahawks. Can I talk about facts? Number two, when two of your players, DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver, star franchise player for the Texans, and rookie running back Deontay Foreman, chose to leave practice on the Friday after your statements, calling them inmates. The other players were coerced to stay by Bill O'Brien and by the general manager, Rick Smith. But those two players chose to leave. Every game, for 6 games since the start of this season, Deontay Foreman had played in a game.
Wow.
The day that he stepped out of practice on that Friday, that Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks, he did not touch the field. He was a healthy scratch. Mr. McNair, why didn't Deontay Foreman take the field that day? But he took the field every game prior to that and every game since.
Solitary confinement. Solitary confinement.
Number 3. Can I talk about facts? When your star quarterback, Deshaun Watson, got injured, was doing well, one of the best available quarterbacks on the free agent market, who has a style of play that mirrors exactly that of Deshaun Watson.
All right.
Hasn't even been called in for a workout or a tryout.
Talk, Jeffrey.
So, Mr. McNair, in your second statement, you said, our focus going forward personally and as an organization will be towards making meaningful progress regarding the social issues that mean so much to our players and our community. Why are you continuously making decisions that show that your words mean nothing? Should we consider these words as empty rhetoric?
Yes.
Should we not take you literal?
We
stand in solidarity with our brother Colin Kaepernick and all the other NFL players who have chosen to silently and peacefully protest, and it's their constitutional right to do so. Mr. McNair, will we hear from you? Mr. McNair, will we hear from you that you support these NFL players in their right to protest? We need to hear from you. Thank you.
All right.
That's good, Jeff. Man, I think we can do better than that. Only two more speakers, and we'll be closing out this portion of our demonstration. Now, I need the press to know that we speak for thousands across this city who couldn't be here if for nothing else, there ain't nowhere to park. Hundreds of thousands. There are people out here who are hardcore, stone cold, stomped down Houston Texans fans a year ago. There are people here who were season ticket holders last season, but have decided that not only are we going to not watch the Houston Texans, we're not watching any NFL at all.
That's right.
None at all.
That's right.
So I want to bring before the microphone a former Houston Texans season ticket holder who decided to take off her Texas jersey and put on her number 7 jersey, community leader Kathy Blueford. Let's talk about the boycott.
Thank you all. First of all, let me start off by saying, I have children. I am not a bee.
Yeah, that's right.
Those players are not
just like
bees.
That's right. That's right.
They look just like me.
Yeah.
And we will not be held to a different standard because this warden has decided that our children that we birth are SOBs.
That's right. That's right.
But let me just share with you something. Yes, I was a season ticket holder, and I fiend football. As an old school cheerleader, I've been behind football for 40, 50 years. But I'm not watching it anymore. I'm not buying any more season tickets. Because let me share with you that people are not really talking about. The third verse of the Star Spangled Banner.
All right.
Bring it and where it is that band who voluntarily swore, talking about the Africans, the slaves that went with the British, that the havoc of war and the battle confusion, a home, a country, should leave us no more. In other words, they left us to go fight with the British, they can't come back. And if they do, their blood has washed out their foul footsteps pollution.
All right, all right.
No refuge could save the harrowing and slaves from the terror of the flight or the gloom of the grave. And the Star Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave, or the lands of the free and the home of the brave. That's why we're standing and supporting Colin Kaepernick.
That's right.
We understood these words. We understood these words. Pull them up. Pull them up, media. We didn't make them up. Read them for yourself. These are the words. This is the reason why we stand and kneel with Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
That's right. And if the things that we brought to light today are not corrected, we will continue to organize people to turn off the Texans. Turn off the Texans. If that's the only thing that Bob McNair respects, we'll take it right to his property.
That's right.
All right, the last speaker will be a brother who represents the artist community here in the city of Houston. Some of you who are with the media may have saw a video that I sent to you made by one of our popular rappers by the name of Zero. He made a song called Kneel Down in support of Colin Kaepernick. Very, very powerful. So the artist community is waking up. And if anybody knows anything about a revolution, it is the artist community that creates the soundtrack for the revolution. So we have a brother who is with us today who represents thousands of artists across the city. He will speak for all of them today. You know him, I know him. Let's bring him on, Brother K. Reno of the South Park Coalition.
It's an old saying, everything happened for a reason. I started thinking back to when Kaepernick's protest first started. He was sitting on the bench minding his business. Wasn't trying to bring no attention to himself. And somebody spotted him and came back later on and asked him, hey man, why you sitting down during the national anthem? That's when he put it on blast. So it was the media's own nosiness that got them thrown in this grease that they in right now. See, because I believe that God is the catalyst behind this whole thing. Because it's time for us as black people to really just break away from this whole system anyway.
That's true.
Because what would the NFL be without great black athletes that come out there and generate all this money? So when you hear these owners and when you hear a lot of white America refer to black athletes, millionaires, as being what? Ungrateful, because they threw them a bone and gave them a little money.
Right.
We need to start asking them, who's really ungrateful?
They are.
Because We can go back centuries and figure out who built this country in the first place for free. So who really being ungrateful? So at the end of the day, man, we got to start asking ourselves as fans of football, because we all love the game. We got to start asking ourselves as the athletes who play football that even make the money, is the love of a game more important than the love of our people and our condition? And that answer have to be no.
No.
Because right now, regardless if they want to admit it or not, their bottom line is hurting. It is hurting for two reasons. It's hurting because we waking up and we deciding that we're not going to spend no money, we're not going to watch the games, we're not going to go to the games and pay for parking, concession, jerseys, tickets, everything that we pay for. You spend $200 before you can get to your seat. And it's also hurting the bottom line because now a lot of white people are starting to see black players and black citizens protesting, and they getting mad, so they not watching the games no more. They not coming to the games no more. You even got Papa John's blaming his low sales for that nasty pizza. Blaming that on the protest. So at the end of the day, me representing the rap community and the hip hop community, I'm gonna make sure I reach out to all my people, and you're gonna start hearing a whole lot of songs coming out real soon. Because as Mr. Farrakhan said, the rappers are the greatest ministers. Because we can reach more people in a short period of time. So you about to see it wholesale now. I'll put my word on that. So keep watching, keep listening, and I thank y'all.
When I say Houston, you say stand. Houston, stand. Houston, stand. Houston, stand. Houston, stand. Houston, stand. Our final message is to the NFL players. I hear that the players now have a meeting coming up, several meetings if I'm not mistaken, with the owners. We want to say to the players, don't walk inside that meeting and sit down as if though you don't have leverage.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Walk in there and sit down with those owners and sit down with them and talk like men.
That's right.
Take some testicular fortitude in there with you. K. Reno said it best. Without black players, the NFL has no soul.
That's right.
And we have to get to the point to where NFL no longer stands for Negroes Police. Don't let anybody from the ranks of the players come in there with those owners speaking with a weak voice.
That's right.
Choose somebody to go in there that's going to talk like a man.
That's right.
You players, you should settle your differences. You should unite on every level.
That's right.
We respect you as entrepreneurs, but understand you are an entrepreneur doing business behind enemy lines.
That's right.
They've already shown you that they don't love you. They already told you what they think about you. And they do their best to keep these players away from activists like the ones you see out here. Away from pastors, revolutionary pastors like you see out here. Away from long-term activists like Brother Delard Parker. It's okay if the football player goes and spends his money in the strip club. But don't get caught down at the Texas Organizing Project headquarters talking about justice. You'll get Kaepernick if that happens. You'll get Kaepernick. So these owners, they don't mind if you're out there on the field and you can go and get a concussion.
Right.
But they have a big problem with you becoming conscious. They don't mind. They don't mind if you have a head-on collision with a defensive end and you're knocked out cold. They got a problem with you waking up. That's what they got a problem with. So when Bob McNair said that we can't allow the prisoners to take over, the inmates to take over the prison. If you've ever worked in the prison, the biggest fear is that the inmates will begin to take over the prison. Why? As they take over, they'll realize that they outnumber you. As they take over, they will realize the power that they really have. So when he said that the inmates can't take over the prison, he was basically saying we can't let these players realize the power that they really have. They outnumber us. We can do nothing without them. We can never let them wake up to that point. This concludes this part of our press conference. Yeah.
Well said.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me. We said so much. I doubt if y'all have any questions. We're going to have Brother Deloitte Parker to close it out.
We're going to leave with something.